Broadcasting to you from somewhere deep in the heart of Texas. Once again, it's me, Honey Ann. Hello, hello, hello. How are you? I'm doing quite well today, thank you. Anybody who might ask? Let me send a big hello. All right. Let me get my squeaky chair rolled up here. My husband gave me this office chair. Looks like a Lamborghini seat. Literally. It rolls a lot. You don't want to stay in its place. You don't have any rocks on the wheels. Since I don't have hardwood floors, man, it's rolling all over the place. Okay. Give me just 1 second. Get things adjusted and ready to rock. Okay. So, we are going to pick up today on Abimelech. Yes. So, okay, here we go. So, Abimelech means my father a king or father of a king. This is the name of 5 biblical men who were kings. Abimelech was the common name for Philistine kings, as was the name Pharaoh for Egyptian kings. Okay. So Abimelech, like I said, it means my father a king or father of a king. And Abimelech, the Philistine king of Gerar, reigned during the time of Abraham, Genesis 20, verses 1 through 18. This is the Abimelech who will be our subject today. By intervention of providence, Sarah was delivered from his harem and was restored to her husband Abraham as a mark of respect. The king gave Abraham valuable gifts, and he offered him a settlement in any part of his country. At the same time, he delicately and yet severely rebuked him for having practiced deception upon him by pretending that Sarah was only his sister. Now, among the gifts presented by the king were 1,000 pieces of silver as a covering of the eyes for Sarah, i.e., either as an atoning gift or a testimony of her innocence in the sight of all. Alternatively, perhaps the silver was to procure a veil for Sarah to conceal her beauty and thus reprove or rebuke disapproval, to her for not having worn a veil, which she apparently ought to have done in that culture as a married woman. Now, a few years after this, Abimelech visited Abraham who had moved southward beyond his territory and entered into an alliance of peace and friendship with him. And this league was the first of which we have any record. A mutual oath confirmed at Beersheba, Genesis 21:22 through 34. So Abimelech is a sure name or a nickname applied to Philistine rulers as Pharaoh, Agag, or Jabin, where also applied the Egyptians, Amalekites, and Canaanites. And this title is used of three different persons in the Old Testament. One during Abraham's time, it was Genesis 20:21. One during Isaac. So the king of Gerar was titled Abimelech. Seeing Abraham's wife Sarah, as Abraham sojourned with his flocks in his country after the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, the king, or Abimelech, of Gerar began fearing for his life, as he had, with Pharaoh in Genesis 12:10 through 20, declared that Sarah was his sister. Whether Abraham was implying that she was doubly protected based on the Nuzu documents is uncertain. There were marriage documents and sistership documents. Thus, some wives simultaneously had the jurisdictional status of a wife and a sister. The judicial, yeah. So each recorded in separate independent legal documents, Abraham may therefore have been technically correct when he referred to Sarah as his sister. If she were thus protected, when Abimelech discovered the whole truth or understood the implications of this, whole thing, so he asked Abraham why he had done this to him, and Abraham answered that he thought the fear of God, i.e. true religion, was not in Gerar. Therefore, he would be slain for his wife's sake. Genesis 20:11. Indeed, she is my sister, the daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my mother. Abimelech lavished Abraham with some gifts and an invitation to graze his flock in his land to recognize his person. Later, some 25 miles from Gerar, a series of disputes broke out between the servants of two men over the water wells. And finally, the covenant at a well, which they called Beersheba, well of seven, or swearing, was made by Abraham and Abimelech. Now, the same type of experience occurred almost a century later between Isaac and another Abimelech of Gerar. And that's 26, 1 through 11, the king of the Philistines. Isaac claimed that Rebekah was his sister, and God intervened when Abimelech attempted to move in. A series of incidents involving wells followed, and a covenant concluded the hostilities. So a whole lot of sister marrying going on back in the day, wasn't there? Okay, so we have the title of Psalm 34 that gives us a third Abimelech in David's time, who was the Philistine king of Gath, named Achish. 1 Samuel 21:10. Most commentators regard Abimelech, Psalm 34, as a copyist error or Achish, or confusion with Abimelech found earlier, 1 Samuel 21:1. And this misses the point in Genesis 26:1, where and Abimelech is a king of the Philistines in Gerar, right? The son of Gideon, also called Jerubbaal, I'm killing that, by a Sheshmonite concubine, Judges 8:31, and a matrilineal marriage, one in which the wife lives in the parental home and the children belong to the clan. Now, after Gideon's death, Abimelech approached the lords of his clan, which is further designated in Judges 9:28 as the men of Hamor, who still, in Genesis 34, worship the god of Gareth, Judges 9:4. 9:6 and also 46, and proposed that he be proclaimed freed, and promptly paid him 70 pieces of silver from the treasures of Balberith. With this start, he hired a handful of assassins who quickly helped Abimelech slay all of his 70 brothers except for the youngest son, Jotham, who escaped. Those are some quite adoring, friendly men, aren't they? For real. So his kingdom was limited to Shechem, Bethmiel, apparently the Tower of Shechem, Haruma, and Thebes, 9:6, 41, and 50. So this is the first Israelite man in the Bible to form his name with a divine designation, Melech. According to Martin Buber, neither was this his original name, for Judges 8:31 says that his concubine bare him a son, and he called his name Abimelech. Jotham, the sole survivor of the bloody massacre of Abimelech and his henchmen, stationed himself on Mount Gerizim and cried out his famous fable, which placed a deliberate slur upon Abimelech as a worthless bramble, incapable of offering the men of Shechem security or profit. To the contrary, it grimly predicted their mutual destruction. Judges 9:7 and 21. And after 3 years of reign, God visited Abimelech and the men of Shechem, 9:23, in the persons of the usurper's assistant Zebul and Gal, the son of Ebed, 9:26. The latter was also a slick talker, and thus the dissension was sown in Shechem, 9:28 and 29. So an armed rebellion ensued, which Abimelech was just on the verge of crushing when an unknown woman dropped a millstone on his skull from the besieged tower at Thebes, 9:50 through 53. Upset by the fact that it was a woman who finally put an end to his proud career, he begged his armor bearer to spare him this disgrace, which he did by thrusting him through with Abimelech's sword, 9:54. Okay, so next we have, I think I was going to do 3 different ones today. Okay, right here. Next we have Ampliatus. Ampliatus. I hope I said that right. Didn't botch it. Okay. So Ampliatus is the king, well, in the King James Version, was a Roman Christian mentioned by Paul in one of his letters, where he says, "Great Ampliatus, whom I love in the Lord," Romans 16:8. Okay. So he's mentioned by Paul in one of his letters, where he says that, right? He says, "Greet Ampliatus, whom I love in the Lord." And then he is considered one of the 70 disciples by the Eastern Orthodox Church. Tradition has it that he and his companions subsequently attached themselves to the Apostle St. Andrew and ultimately died martyrs. He is commemorated in Roman martyrology on October 31st. Ampliatus is a typical Latin name in which the authorized version, Amplius, is a contraction. Now, he may have served as bishop of Odessos, Varna, in Bulgaria. In Romans 16:8, Paul says, "Greet Amplias, my beloved in the Lord," saluted by St. Paul and described as my beloved in the Lord. The only other persons described in Romans 16 as my beloved are Epainetus, it's Epainetus, and Stachys. A woman is saluted perhaps with international delicacy as Persia, the beloved. The precise phrase, my beloved in the Lord, does not occur again in the New Testament. So the special term of a Christian endearment might suggest that Ampliatus was a personal convert of St. Paul's or closely associated with him in Christian work. And such friends, however, are referred to as beloved child. Timothy, in First Corinthians 4:17, beloved brother, that's Tychicus. Ephesians 6:21, and beloved fellow servant, that's in Colossians. So nothing whatever is known of Ampliatus beyond this reference. Assuming the integrity of the epistle and the Roman designation of these salutations, he was perhaps a Roman whom St. Paul had met on one of his missionary journeys, and held that the salutations in Romans 16 were part of a letter to the church of Ephesus. So Ampliatus must have been a Roman resident in Ephesus, with whom St. Paul became acquainted during his extended stay in that city. And it's possible that he was a Jew who had taken a Latin name, the names Paulus and Lucius, a kinsman, i.e. a Jew. Romans 16:21. So the name derives from the Latin Aplio or Aplius, meaning large, extensive, increase, extend, enlarge, magnify. Ampliatus or Amplius in the King James Version was a Roman Christian mentioned by Paul in one of his letters, where he says, greet Ampliatus, whom I love in the Lord. So Romans 16:8, he is considered one of the 70 disciples. The sacred tradition makes him the first bishop of Varna in Bulgaria. So Ampliatus is a Latin name and another individual that Paul refers to as beloved. So this was a common name in antiquity and often associated with emperor's household. So there is a tomb in the catacomb in Domitilla, dating from the 1st or early 2nd centuries, that bears the inscription Ampliat. The singular name suggests he might have been a slave. The ornamentation on the tomb suggests he would have been an essential individual in the early church, and it would mean that Christianity had penetrated deep into the prestigious Roman household. A catalog of Roman Catholic martyrs and saints arranged by the dates of their feasts. It's also said to be an ecclesiastical history, treating the lives and sufferings of martyrs. So there's Ampliatus. Boy, didn't we get through that one quickly. Okay, next we have the ancient city of Damascus. All right. So it was founded in the 3rd millennium BC. Damascus is one of the oldest cities in the Middle East. It was the center of a flourishing craft industry specializing in swords and lace. And the city was some 125 monuments from different periods of its history, okay? The city has 125 different monuments. Okay, so one of the most spectacular is the 8th century Greek mosque of the Umayyads, built on an Assyrian sanctuary. Damascus was an important cultural and commercial center by virtue of its geographical position at the crossroads of the Orient and the Occident, between Africa and Asia. The old city of Damascus is considered to be among the oldest continually inhabited cities in the world. So the timeline of Damascus to 2000 is what we're going to talk about. So 150 CE, Damascus became a Roman provincial city under Trajan. 4th century Temple of Jupiter built by the Romans. 613, Sasanian captured Damascus during the Byzantine Sasanian War of 602 through 628. 634, Arab conquest of Damascus under Khalid ibn al-Walid. 715, the great mosque built by al-Walid I by converting the church of St. John the Baptist, constructed by Arcadius. 789, Qabat al-Khazna built. 1078, Citadel of Damascus was built. 1126, Crusaders attacked Damascus. 1142, al-Mujahidiyya Madrasa established. 1154, Nur al-Bin Bim Artisan built. 1196, the Mausoleum of Saladin built. 1215, al-Adiliya Madrasa founded. 1216, Citadel of Damascus rebuilt. 1224, al-Rukniya Madrasa built. 1234, Aqsa Mosque built. 1254, al-Khilija Madrasa established. 1260, Kitburga, a confidant of the Mongol Ikan Ugalu, I don't know, Olagu, captured Damascus. Then it was captured 5 days after the Battle of Ain Jalut by the Mamluk Sultanate. Okay, botching away. 1277, Al-Zaria Library established. 1400, Timur, the Turco-Mongol conqueror, besieges Damascus. 1515, Al-Sibaiya Madrasa built. 1516, Ottomans under Selim I conquered Damascus from the Mamluks. 1558, Taqi Mosque built. 1566, al-Salimiya Madrasa established. 1574, Khan al-Harir built. 1605, printing press established. 1736, Khan Soleiman Pasha built. 1750, Azam Lace built. 1752, Khan Assad Pasha built. 1832, captured by Ibrahim Pasha of Egypt. 1840, return of the city to Turkish domination when the Egyptians were driven out of Syria. 1860, massacre. The Muslim population rose against the Christians. 1885, Bakdash ice cream parlor established. 1900, population 154,000. 20th century, 1918, October, Arab troops led by Emir Faisal and supported by British armed forces captured Damascus, ending 400 years of Ottoman rule. 1920, July, French armed forces occupied Damascus, forcing Faisal to flee abroad. 1923, university founded. 1925 and 26, French forces bombarded Damascus. 1928, Wada Club of Damascus founded. 1935, population 193,912. 1939, Chapel of St. Paul inaugurated. 1946, population 303,952. 1947, Al-Jaish Sports Club founded. 1960, Syrian television begins broadcasting. 1961, September, discontent with Egyptian domination of the United Arab Republic prompts a group of Syrian army officers to seize power in Damascus and dissolve the union. 1964, population 562,907. 1970, population 836,668 in the city, and 923,253 in the urban agglomeration. Okay. 1977, Higher Institute for Dramatic Arts founded. 1981, bomb explodes near Syrian Air Force headquarters as Bakia bombing. 1983, Higher Institute for Applied Science and Technology was founded. 1984, Al-Assad National Library established. 1985, population 1,196,710. That's an estimate. 1986, bombings. 1994, population 1,549,000. Okay, in 2000, the spring, history of Syria, prehistory, Levantine corridor, Natufian culture, Halaf culture, Uruk period, Abu Hurairah, Aswad, Yarmoukyan culture, Bronze Age, Amorites, Akkadian Empire, Arameans, Canaanites, Old Assyrian Empire, Middle Assyrian Empire, Ebla, Yamad, Qatna, Mari, Ugarit. The Late Bronze Age collapse was Antiquity, Middle Ages, Muslim conquest, 636, Caliphal Syria, that's Bilad al-Sham, Talunid dynasty, the Ikush, I don't know, Shidid dynasty, the Zangid dynasty, the Hamdanid dynasty, Mardasid dynasty, Fatimid Syria, Saljukid, Saljukid Syria, Crusader states, country of Edessa, Principality of Antioch, country of Tripoli, Ayyubid Syria, 1174 through 1260, Mamluk Syria, 1260 through 1516. That was a good reign. Early modern is the Ottoman Syria, 1516 to 1918. Wow, long time. Modern is Arab Kingdom of Syria, 1920. French Mandate. Syrian Federation, 1920 through 25. State of Syria, 25 through 30. Mandatory Republic, 30 through 46. Independent First Syrian Republic, 46 through 50. Second Syrian Republic, 1950 through 58 and 61 through 63. The United Arab Republic, 58 through 61. The Ba'athist Syria, 63 to present. So excavations at Tel Ramad on the city's outskirts have demonstrated that Damascus was inhabited as early as 8,000 to 10,000 BC. However, it's not documented as an important city until the arrival of the Armenians. Okay, so the city exhibits extraordinary evidence of the civilizations which created it: Hellenistic, Roman, Byzantine, and Islamic. Each succeeding dynasty has left and continues to leave its mark. In particular, the Umayyad Caliphate created Damascus as its capital, setting the scene for the city's ongoing development as a living Muslim Arab city. And despite Islam's prevailing influence, traces of earlier cultures, particularly the Roman and Byzantine, continue to be seen in the city. Thus, the city today is based on a Roman plan and maintains the aspect of the orientation of the Greek city. And in that, all the streets are oriented north-south or east-west, and is a crucial example of urban planning. The city was the capital of Umayyad Caliphate, and the earliest physical evidence dates to the Roman period. The existence remains of the temple of Jupiter and the remains of various gates and an impressive section of the Roman city walls. However, apart from the incomparable Great Mosque built on the site of a Roman temple and overlaying a Christian basilica, there's little visible dating from this significant era of the city's history. And the present city walls, the citadel, some mosques, and tombs survived the Middle Ages. However, the most significant part of the city has built heritage dates from excuse me, from after the Ottoman conquest of the early 16th century. I need a drink. Sorry about that. So Damascus testifies to the unique aesthetic achievement of the civilizations which created it. There's 5 criteria noted. So the Great Mosque is a masterpiece of Umayyad architecture. Other major monuments of different periods, such as the Citadel, the Azim Palace, madrasas, khans, public baths, and private residences, demonstrate this achievement. So Damascus, as the capital of the Umayyad Caliphate, the first Islamic caliphate, was crucial in developing subsequent Arab cities. With its great mosque at the heart of an urban plan deriving from the Greco-Roman grid, the city provided the exemplary model for the Arab Muslim world. Just 1 second, please. Okay. Let's see here. All right, not cooperate with your Pinterest. It's fine with me. Let me find here. Okay. Over here. And okay, now. Hey, Rich Magoo, how are you? I'm leading up to something here. I'm trying, man. Okay, let's see here. I hope I have the right one. No, this one. That's the one. Okay. All right, here we go. Here's Damascus. Check it out. For such a tiny little place, boy, this place has been battled over, and we know about the final battle. Isn't Armageddon supposed to take place in Damascus? No, when Damascus falls, look up because your redemption draws nigh. That's what that's about. Never mind, don't listen to me. Don't listen to me. Okay. Alright, so anyway, historical and archaeological sources testify to the origins in the 3rd millennium BC, and Damascus is widely known as among the oldest continually inhabited cities in the world. The present city walls, the citadel, some mosques and tombs, they survived the medieval period, and a large part of the built heritage of the city, including palaces and private houses, dates from after the Ottoman conquest of the early 16th century. And the incomparable Great Mosque is a rare and highly significant monument of the Umayyads. So the Umayyad Great Mosque, also known as the Grand Mosque of Damascus, is one of the largest mosques in the world and one of the oldest sites of continuous prayer since the rise of Islam. And as such, it constitutes a significant cultural, social, and artistic development. The city is closely linked with important historical events and ideas and traditions, especially from the Islamic period, and these have helped shape the city's image and impact on the Islamic history and culture. Okay. So the line of the, okay, just 1 second. Something's always got to be messing with me on this. I don't even know why I keep my notes here. It's such a pain in the patootie. Yeah, I said patootie. Okay. So the line of the walls of the old city forms the property's boundary. Although areas outside the walls that represent the city's expansion from the 13th century are considered related to the old city in terms of historical significance and provide its setting and context. The key attributes of outstanding universal value lie within the boundary, and these include the plan of the city and its dense urban fabric, city walls and gates, and its 125 protected monuments, including the Umyad Mosque, Madras, Khans, the Citadel, and private houses. And the attributes are vulnerable to the lack of traditional approaches to maintenance and conservation and the use of traditional materials, while its setting and context are threatened by the lack of conservation policy for the historical, by the regional planning projects. Well, how about that? Since the property's inscription, the historic fabric's morphological layout and spatial pattern have remained unchanged, and the key discrete attributes survive. However, commercial and semi-industrial activities are spreading into the residential area of the walled city and its suburbs, eroding the value of the attributes relating to the urban fabric and their interrelationships. So there's responsibilities for planning control of the old city and its management. They're in the hands of two government departments, the Commission for Safeguarding the Old Town and the General Directorate for Antiquities and Museums. Projects and programs to enhance the city, and it's undertaken by the Ministry of Local Administration and Environment with support for international organizations. The effectiveness of the conservation policy relies on the full participation of various interests within the city, such as public-private partnerships, all levels of government, the financial community, and citizens. And legal protection is provided by the Antiquities Law 222, amended in 1999. In addition to the ministerial order number 192 of 1976, designating the walled city as part of Syria's cultural and historical heritage, and Parliamentary Act number 826 for the restoration and reconstruction, rebuilding of the city within the walls has been reviewed in light of changed conditions, and it needs opportunities. It aims for establishing new conditions for the walled city. So a committee for the protection and development of old Damascus has been established, with representatives of the different bodies to coordinate the planning and building activities and be responsible for the strategic planning of the old city. So the draft of the integrated urban plan of the old city had been formally approved by ministerial decision, and a buffer zone has also been delineated, but not yet formally approved. There's a need for the plan, once approved and implemented, to clarify the different levels of protection to be applied to the different parts of the urban fabric, to set out the appropriate interventions. Wow, that's really a big deal over there. Let's check it out. That's beautiful. Wow. It's a pretty big city, huh? Look at that. So a lot of this is ancient Damascus and there's modern Damascus. I see. Okay. Wow. What do we have here? Don't know. Can't read that. Wow. That place is pretty big. I wouldn't want to live in the desert. It saved my life. No, thank you. I lived there briefly for a few months and I couldn't stand it. It was so miserable. That's great. I like stuff like this, you know. Look at that. Remember Jesus kind of, remember what Jesus did when people were selling their goods? Yeah, he was kind of angry about that. Wow, that is a very populated place. I love the city walls like that. It's so neat. Excuse me. Wow, that's the gates of Damascus right there. Gorgeous. The street called Straight Damascus. Serious stock photo. Huh. Wow. Look at that. Makes you feel kind of claustrophobic in a way. Reminds me of all those old Arabian Night movies, you know, the Arabian Nights. When he's escaping and running, the lad's escaping and running through the streets, being chased. Yep. Well, looks like it's been bombed to crap and back. What does it say? This is Syria, third largest city. Business Insider. Wow. Syria got bombed today. Looks like they were bombed. What's that? World Heritage. Ancient city. Wow. Alrighty. Aleppo, Syria. Looks like an old tree trunk, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. What Aleppo, Syria looked like before the Civil War. Oh, okay. Before it got bombed to smithereens. Yep, there you go. Yeah, we have to be pretty darn proud to think it's not ever going to hit us. It's pretty. All right. Okay. Yes. Wow. It's pretty neat. We don't really have any old cities here. We tear everything down, you know, which is a darn shame because some of the antiquities are really beautiful. You know, the buildings of antiquity, they're just gorgeous. Oh my goodness. Okay. Wow, look here. Kind of reminds me of Mount Rushmore. The risk of destruction. Wow. Yeah. Things like to tear everything and pass down. So there's no reminder of the truth of our history. So that they can make up a whole new history whenever they restart or reset. Yeah. Before and after. Wow, look at that. Before and after. That's terrible. What a darn shame. Yeah. Unsolved mystery of the Aleppo Codex and its missing pages. Wow. I don't think it's unsolved. I think that's on tree trunk. Yeah. Alrighty, let me get back up here. Alright, well, I guess I want to get off again now. Thanks for joining me. And let's see, tomorrow, let me see, I'll give you a preview of what we're going to talk about. Hang on 1 second, let me get back to it. Okay, tomorrow will be Andronicus and Junius, and maybe Anna the Prophetess. Yeah, because I have Anna the Prophetess part 1 and part 2. Andronicus and Junius. Alrighty. I won't hold you up anymore, darling. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you mañana. Bye.